A kingdom that built pyramids, commanded vast armies, and ruled for thousands of years nearly faced disaster because of a tiny enemy hidden in the shadows. Not invading soldiers, not famine, not rebellion, rats. Thousands upon thousands of them. They slipped into granaries under the cover of darkness, devouring the wheat that fed entire cities. They contaminated food supplies, spread disease, and threatened the very foundation of ancient Egypt's survival. Yet Egypt's unlikely savior wasn't a king, a priest, or a legendary warrior. It was a creature small enough to curl up on a windowsill. A cat. Today, cats are internet celebrities, household companions, and professional nappers. But thousands of years ago, they may have played a role far greater than anyone could have imagined. They may have helped save one of history's greatest civilizations from collapse. To understand why, we have to travel back more than 4,000 years to the fertile banks of the Nile. Ancient Egypt was a miracle of geography. Every year, the Nile flooded its banks, leaving behind rich black soil perfect for farming. This annual cycle allowed Egyptians to grow enormous quantities of grain, particularly wheat and barley. Those crops weren't just food, they were wealth. They paid workers, they supplied armies, they fueled trade, they sustained the millions who depended on the stability of the kingdom. But grain came with a dangerous problem. Where grain gathered, pests followed. The enormous storage facilities built by Egyptians became irresistible attractions for rodents. Rats and mice multiplied rapidly, finding endless supplies of food and shelter. One pair of mice can produce dozens of offspring in a single year. Now imagine thousands of them spreading through the granaries of a civilization whose survival depended on stored food. The consequences were terrifying. A significant loss of grain could trigger hunger, economic instability, and social unrest. The threat wasn't hypothetical. Throughout history, civilizations have struggled against rodent infestations. Entire harvests have been destroyed by pests. Ancient Egypt was no exception. But nature had already created the perfect solution. Wild cats. Long before cats became pets, African wildcats roamed the deserts and grasslands surrounding the Nile Valley. These animals were skilled hunters, silent, patient, deadly. As rodents gathered around Egyptian settlements, the wildcats followed. At first, the relationship was probably accidental. Humans stored grain, rodents arrived, cats hunted the rodents. Everyone benefited except the rodents. Over time, something remarkable happened. The cats began spending more time near human communities. The humans noticed that wherever cats appeared, pests disappeared. Unlike wolves, which required extensive domestication, cats essentially domesticated themselves. They found a reliable food source. Humans found a reliable pest control system. A partnership was born, and it would become one of the most successful relationships in human history. Archaeologists believe the domestication of cats began roughly 10,000 years ago in the Near East, but ancient Egypt elevated this relationship to an entirely different level. The Egyptians didn't merely tolerate cats. They admired them, respected them. Eventually, they worshipped them. Cats possessed qualities Egyptians found fascinating. They were graceful yet lethal, gentle with their kittens yet ruthless hunters, calm one moment and explosive the next. To the Egyptians, these characteristics seemed almost supernatural. One goddess became particularly associated with felines, Bastet. Originally depicted as a lioness and later as a domestic cat, Bastet represented protection, fertility, motherhood, and the home. Her influence spread throughout Egypt. Temples dedicated to her attracted thousands of worshippers. Festivals celebrating Bastet became some of the largest gatherings in the kingdom. At the city of Bastet, pilgrims traveled great distances to honor the feline goddess. But the reverence for cats wasn't purely spiritual, it was practical. Every cat protecting a granary was safeguarding Egypt's future. Every rodent eliminated meant more food for families, more supplies for workers, more stability for the kingdom. In a sense, cats became guardians of civilization itself. Then the relationship reached a level almost unimaginable today. Killing a cat, even accidentally, could carry severe punishment. Historical accounts suggest that Egyptians treated feline deaths with extraordinary seriousness. Some families reportedly entered periods of mourning when a beloved cat died. Many cats were mummified, not kings, not queens, cats. Millions of animal mummies have been discovered across Egypt, and feline mummies are among the most famous. The sheer scale reveals how deeply these animals had become woven into Egyptian culture. Yet there is an even stranger story. According to ancient sources, Egypt's enemies may have recognized just how important cats were. One famous tale involves the Persian conquest of Egypt in 525 BCE. The Persian king Cambyses II faced Egyptian forces in a crucial battle. Ancient historian Polyaenus later recorded a remarkable claim. The Persians allegedly used cats during the battle, knowing Egyptians would hesitate to harm sacred animals. Whether the story is entirely true remains debated among historians. But the fact that such a story emerged at all tells us something important. Egypt's connection with cats was so famous that people across the ancient world knew about it. Cats had become symbols of Egypt itself. Think about that for a moment. An animal that arrived simply to hunt rodents had risen to become a sacred national icon. But perhaps the most fascinating twist is what happened next. The partnership between humans and cats didn't stay in Egypt. It spread. Traders carried cats aboard ships to protect cargo from rats. Merchants transported them across the Mediterranean. Sailors welcomed them because they prevented infestations at sea. Slowly, cats expanded into Europe, Asia, and eventually nearly every corner of the world. The descendants of those ancient hunters now sleep on couches, climb kitchen counters, and demand treats from humans thousands of years later. The same instincts that once protected Egyptian grain stores still exist today. When a house cat suddenly stares into a corner, pounces on an invisible target, or proudly presents a captured mouse, it's displaying behaviors that help shape human history. The tiny predator remains unchanged. Only the world around it has changed. And that brings us back to ancient Egypt. Could cats truly have saved the civilization from collapse? It's impossible to calculate exactly how much grain they protected or how many infestations they prevented. History rarely leaves us precise numbers for questions like these. But we know this: Egypt depended on food storage. Food storage attracted rodents. Cats dramatically reduced rodent populations. Without effective pest control, preserving the massive grain reserves needed to sustain Egyptian society would have been far more difficult. Their contribution may not have been recorded on royal monuments or carved into the walls of great temples, yet it was real. Silent, constant, generation after generation. While pharaohs fought wars and architects raised pyramids, countless cats prowled through granaries under moonlit skies, hunting the creatures that threatened the kingdom's survival. No grand speeches, no crowns, no monuments, just watchful eyes glowing in the darkness. Sometimes history isn't changed by emperors or armies. Sometimes the fate of an empire rests in the paws of a hunter weighing less than 10 pounds. And if ancient Egypt teaches us anything, it's that civilization can depend on the most unexpected heroes of all. Heroes that still curl up beside us every night. Like, subscribe, and join the journey through history.